Man, that is what you call some quality vacation. I need to go back to Canada soon. But I haven't uploaded in months because of my exams and my vacation, and I'm just hoping that everything is fine back at home.
Yo, how is everyone doing?
I am leaving Vshojo.
No, I'm not dealing with this.
So how the hell did Vshojo go from one of the most beloved and respected VTubing companies with millions of fans saying it as the best company to join if you wanted a successful career with maximum freedom, to basically being the second coming of Nijisan Jian with all of its talents leaving the company? Well, to truly understand this whole clown show, we have to go back about the end of April 2025 with the leave of Matara-kan. Now, for those who do not know who she is, Mata was a VTuber who joined Vshojo by October 2025. But even before that, she already was a well-established VTuber under another agency who, let's just say, wasn't all that great. Her leave of Vshojo began raising some flags for the community because Matara did sing the praises of Vshojo and how well they treated her when she started working in the company. In a statement given by both her and the company, it was said that Vshojo decided to part ways with Matara. This was somewhat alarming, but without any concrete information, we could only speculate about why they decided to part ways. For all we know, it could just be that she and the company disagreed on some policies that the company had and that they just decided to split apart. So the situation just kind of blew away for a couple of weeks without adding more to it. That is until Giga also decided to leave Vshojo. Giga also was a member that joined Vshojo in 2023, but under her own IP, just like many other VTubers in the company. This was one of the things that made Vshojo so special as a VTubing company. You could enter it with your own IP and then leave while also still owning your own IP, and if you started under Vshojo and you created your IP under them, you could also leave with the IP. Giga's case, just like Matara's, raised some flags, and this time we had a bit more of an idea thanks to the video that she made where she explained her leave of the company. Now, as you can imagine, she was pretty limited to what she could say due to her being under an NDA, but what I thought was interesting was her disclosing that she didn't only stream but also worked internally and helped with things that we probably never would be able to see from the outside. So her leaving and saying that it was the best for her made it all the more suspicious. But I think that the moment that everyone understood that something very bad was happening with Vshojo was when Zentaya announced her leave of Vshojo for July 11th. Zentaya is not just any VTuber of Vshojo, she was one of the first members that joined Vshojo back when it started in 2020. Having one of the oldest members leave the company less than 3 months after 2 other members have left the company made it clear that something very big and bad was happening in Vshojo. The worst thing was that it wasn't only the talents that were leaving the company, there were multiple staff members that were leaving the company left and right. That's how Mountain Dew, who was the co-founder and CMO of Vshojo, also left the company back in May of 2025. In his statement there was a lot of corporate talk, but what stuck to most people was him saying that he did it because he saw a better future outside of the company. And another staff member who left was Panini, who used to be the talent director. It was certain that something was going on internally with Vshojo. But the moment Vshojo really started to implode was when Ironmouse also announced her leave of the company. Now, why would all these VTubers leave the company is the question, and not only the VTubers, but also core staff members that had been there for years. Well, it's simple. It all had to do with mismanagement and money. For the people who do not know Ironmouse, she was the most popular VTuber in Vshojo. Her success was so big that she broke multiple Twitch records with her subathons at charities, to the point that some people started calling her the Queen of Twitch. She owed her success to her entertaining personality, her beautiful singing voice, and above all, her very endearing story. Ironmouse at some point in her life got diagnosed with CVID. Now, I am not an expert on the topic, but from what I understood, this condition makes it so you suffer from a very weakened immune system. And this caused Ironmouse to be bedridden and isolated for God knows how long. It's that isolation that pushed her towards streaming, as she then could have some levels of social contact through her chat and streams. In the video where Ironmouse announced her leave of Vshojo, she revealed that not only did she not receive money that she was owed by the company, but that Vshojo also did not pay the money that she and her community had raised for charity to the Immune Deficiency Foundation. And we are not talking about a little sum of money. $500,000 were lost that way. This stung even more for Ironmouse, as the Immune Deficiency Foundation was the one that helped her in the times where she needed medication. Yep, Vshojo didn't only not pay the streamers for months, but they also didn't give the funds that were meant for the Immune Deficiency Foundation that Ironmouse and her community had raised. And that last little bit of information caused the great exodus. All of the VTubers who still worked under Vshojo decided to leave the company. And it's not as if they only decided to leave after the Ironmouse video. A lot of the streamers had already been thinking on negotiating their leave of Vshojo weeks beforehand. The crazy part of this is that it's not only the VTubers that were working in the company that got messed over by the company, but it also were other VTubers that were going to join the company later. Min Phantom was one of those VTubers who was meant to debut in Vshojo as an idol with two other streamers to form the first idol group of Vshojo, but had been plagued by delays and broken promises over and over again. Listen, I have a simple rule for myself. If you mess over people like Ironmouse and Mint, you probably are the bad guy in the situation. All of this news was an immense shock because Vshojo always had marketed itself as a company that put immense importance on the freedom and good treatment of their talent, to the point that their motto was, the talent first. But as Kason said it on her livestream when she confronted the CEO of Vshojo JP,
talent first, my ass.
But in all of that outrage, there was still one thing that needed to happen. Getting a response from Gunrun, the CEO of Vshojo. A response that we were able to get just 3 days later. And to call it the greatest fuck up in the VTubing industry would be a great understatement. The only thing I can say was good with this message is that Gunrun didn't try to blame anyone else and took accountability for the horrendous management and handling of money. But oh god, doesn't it help in any way with what was admitted in that statement? First and foremost, Vshojo was shutting down. Over the years, Vshojo had been able to raise over $11 million for all of their activities, but somehow were not able to manage all of the money, which forced them to at some point stop paying their talents correctly. You can't make this up. If you thought that the 2% cut of Nijisanji already was bad enough, well, Vshojo one-upped them by giving them a 0% cut. Okay, sure, that's already an extremely and unbelievably bad situation. But what happened to the charity money? What happened to these $500,000 that got raised for the Immune Deficiency Foundation? Well, Gunrun explained that the company spent it and that he only later learned about that fact. Gunrun basically admitted that Vshojo committed charity fraud. He then ended the statement by saying that he was deeply sorry for everyone that was hurt by this and that they did not deserve this. As you could easily guess, this response only riled up the entirety of the community, with multiple ex-talents just expressing their disappointment with the company. And it only gets worse when you think about it. Just like Mujin kindly pointed out, with Vshojo going bankrupt and the talents being independent contractors, they might never ever get the money that they are owed by the company. This already on its own was a disaster of a whole other level, but it's still not close to being done. With Vshojo shutting down and going bankrupt, some VTubers understood that their NDA pretty much had become void, and that is how Vebei, an ex-Vshojo VTuber who had left back in 2023, was finally able to give the real reasons as to why she was forced to leave the company, and her statements showed how truly messed up the company already was and how they really did not change over the years. But well, that's as far as I will go today, because honestly, there still will be a lot of skeletons in Vshojo's closet that will be aired to the public over the next couple of days. And this was how Vshojo basically went from one of the best and most beloved VTubing agencies to an empty company in just a couple of months. It's very disappointing to see all of this happening, but we can at least rejoice in the fact that the talents will be free from all of the corporate bullshit and delayed payments. And it's not as if this situation only had bad things about it, because Ironmouse started a new fundraiser for the Immune Deficiency Foundation, and they already have been able to gather over $1 million. So if you also want to donate to the Immune Deficiency Foundation, the link will be down in the description. But well, that's about it for me. Name's Sortigana. I mainly make anime and gaming related videos, but I also like delving in topics that I am passionate about. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. See you next time.